Hello, everybody. This is Gnashing of Teeth. I'm Casey.
Milo.
Uh, Episode 22. G, what do you think of that? 22, 22. What do you think? Or Goat Hornet.
42.
Goat Hornet. Boom, goat horns. I love the goat horns. You ever throw up the goat
Mm.
horn? You ever do that? Throw up the
No,
throw up
it's a bit cringy, my opinion.
the cringe. Ronnie
It's
James
rock.
Dio. Ronnie James
It's
Dio.
rock. It's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll.
Yeah.
Speaking of rock and roll, Ride of Mars though, awesome band. Anyway, how are you, man? How's your week been?
It's been something. It's been
Wow,
something.
wow. What? Anything you want to share?
No,
All right.
no.
Well,
Work was all right.
there you go. All good.
What about
Uh,
you?
yeah, worked. Same old thing. Same old dealy. It's all good. Um, what are you drinking? What are you drinking tonight? Blue Gatorade,
Um,
water, and a Pepsi, probably. There it is. There it is. The water. Yeah,
yeah.
it's your
For
go-to.
I got the Glacier Freeze this time,
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. You're
not
back.
like the hard blue.
Yeah, you're back to your
I'm back
original
to
deal.
my roots.
Good for you. Good for you.
What
Um,
about you? What are you drinking?
um, I'm drinking a tall boy of Big Little Thing IPA. We're probably gonna get sued now that I said that. I don't know why people get all fussy about it's free advertising, but people on YouTube, man, they get fussy about you talking about their stuff. Anyway, um, so today, Milo and I were talking offline, and we thought a good subject would be the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah, however you want to pronounce it. I've heard
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah. Yep. So kind of, what I got some notes here, and what I found out about it was pretty cool. It constantly goes back to this tree of life. Like everyone keeps going back to the tree of life, and I think there's how many there's like a one, two, three, four, five, six. I'm not going to get into it. I don't know it as well as you do, but that tree of life thing is huge in it, and obviously it's Jewish mysticism, and there's the Torah involved. There is the Zohar, which is a big thing too. I the Torah is supposed to be the first five books of the Bible, but I've also heard it be the first five books of Moses. Is that the same thing? Are the first five books of Moses the first five books of the Bible? Because I thought I heard that Moses has a book out there. It's more of an occulty book that you can get that has to do with like Moses. What do you know? Maybe I just read weird that or whatever.
No, I've heard both ways. I'm sure Moses, as any biblical character at this point, probably has his own book, but I'm guessing the five books represents the first five books in the Bible. So
So that's a big part of it. And then the Zohar, which let me grab my notes here. The Zohar, uh, like who wrote it, was like in 1300 AD was a guy named Maimonides. It's Maimoniddes. That's what I know. This guy wrote some stuff, and then the Sphirites or the Sphere outs. Then there was 10 of those, the 10 Sphere outs, and then that was the same kind of name but spelled with an N, which is odd enough. But then I know Isaac Luria in the 1550 kind of combined the Torah, combined the Zohar, and then made the Kabbalah in
yeah,
1550. Am I right or am I wrong?
so we'll take a step back here. It is a basically practice that's rooted in, as you said, Jewish mysticism. It originated in the 13th century, as you described.
Hmm.
Um, when you said 1500 or whatever, and how what's his face combined it together, there was a not the medieval ages or anything like that. I don't know what I'm about to say. Sorry. But there was like a revamp in the time period that you said, and that could have been like the revamp of it, basically, because I know there was like a huge push of Kabbalah in what did you say, the 1500s? Who was it?
1550, as a matter of fact.
1550.
Yeah,
So I heard that there was a kind of a revitalization of it, as
that
some could say. But
that had to be it. That had to be it.
but but I think you're spot on. I don't know the names by heart, but I think you're spot on.
Did you read the thing about the Jewish community saying you should not read the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah until you're 40 years of age?
I've never heard that.
Yep. Nope. It's real. I rewound the thing a bunch. I looked it up on the internet. Of course, the internet's always right.
Right, of course.
The reason being is they say that, and this is the Jewish mysticism folks, they don't want anyone younger than 40 to read it. It's kind of like getting your driver's license. It's kind of like being able to go buy cigarettes. It's kind of like being able to go buy alcohol. Like you can't do that when you're 7. You're not wise enough to deal with it. And so they think that once you hit the age 40, that you're wise enough to. I'm wise enough to get it and read it. By the way. By the way. By the way.
More power to him. More power to him.
Well, that's it. I mean, talk to me about that. That is a really cool concept of. I would totally do that too. If I would take my occult journal that I created years and years ago, a lot of great information in my occult journal. If I would put that up to someone, I would say to myself, I don't think you should read this. Not until you are you know, 30 years old, 25 years old. What do you think? Well, what do you think? I mean, seriously though. Otherwise, what?
I get it, but it's you're gatekeeping at that point, and I might die tomorrow. So
True that.
shouldn't I, be able to it's like people who say that some things are like a closed practice, to which I get to an extent. To an extent. A popular thing is that I see it all the time is with Lilith and how she is a closed deity because she is quote unquote a Jewish figure, end quote. So apparently there's a big debate that she's a closed practice to only Jews. And it's like a huge debate. And it's like you're just gatekeeping. It's just people want to put up gates and act like they're more holier than thou, right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
have so like when you're like, I got an occult book and great information, but you shouldn't read this till you're 30. Well, no, okay, it's just kind of dumb.
Well, it's kind of like I think I had a friend when I was growing up. We were like 14, 15 years old.
Mhm.
And I think I was smoking cigarettes at the time, so I probably smelled like it. And yeah, I was a troubled kid. I'm still a little troubled. But anyway, uh I remember his dad coming out and saying, if I catch you, to his boy, I'm right there. He's talking to him, but he's also talking to me in an indirect way. If I catch you smoking cigarettes, you're gonna be grounded and you're gonna get lashes and you're gonna get this and that. And it wasn't 15 minutes, and him and I are down by the creek having a beer and smoking cigarettes. So I think when you tell people you can't read this till you're 40, they're gonna grab it as soon as they can, right? Because it's the whole
Yeah.
we are naturally rebellious. Imagine that.
Mm.
The whole reason we exist is a rebellion. Anyway, pretty cool thing. Um, I'm gonna pull out Peter Carroll's timeline, okay, from from Librnon. So if I'm gonna read it first, and I'll kind of show it. So if you remember in the timeline, uh, you know, he thinks it starts with shamanism. And then shamanism breaks up into the Teo, the Tantric, the Zoro, and the Egyptian magic. Oddly enough, the Egyptian magic in the Zoro turns into Hellenic pagan magic, which would be a very interesting subject to get into the Hellenic thing. That's pretty cool. Big step there. Um, Zoro in Egypt also blend into the Abrahamic religion, and then that all then branches to the Hermetics, Gnosticism, and the Kabbalah. And I highlighted Kabbalah, and I'm going to try to show this the best that I can. So, can you see the Kabbalah and how it kind of, you see it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this now again, this isn't this isn't like what fed, whatever. It's just knowledge of hey, this was here, and then it morphed into here, and then it kind of morphed into here. And like people are, it's no different than you and I. The occult anymore is mixed martial arts. You've got to know it all. You got to know the Goetia. You got to know, some chaos magic. You have to know, Gnosticism. You have to understand like the fallen angels and John Dee. And there's just a lot involved if you want to know the occult, correct?
That is correct, because you have to everybody has their own path within the occult, and that's the
Right.
beauty about it. And
Yep.
if you're drawn to Gnosticism, or you're drawn to the Kabbalah, or you're drawn to like some left hand path thing, Satanism, whatever you want to do, if you're exploring the whole occult and that's what you're drawn to, then it should reaffirm your belief in it, right? So if you go into the occult, you're a Christian before you go through the occult, and you go back to Christianity, that should strengthen your faith and belief in that, because
Yeah.
you've tested around. Obviously, when I say the occult, I also include like other religions and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Um, the Kabbalah means tradition or received, right? It's the combination of those two, which is a really cool thing to think about because it's like, okay, if this is information, it's received or it's traditional. And that's kind of what it is. And so what they've done is they said whether you received it from something else or rather it's just tradition, you just grew up in it and this is part of you because this is what you're taught. Um, Either way, it's Jewish mysticism teachings. Uh, they also explore the micro and the macro. So the Kabbalah also explores what's beyond and what's within. Macro, micro, as above, so below. They're pretty spot on with the occult, and I think it's rather Peter Carroll's got him. He's got him in a place that gives him a lot of strength in the occult world. You know what I'm saying? A very, very pivotal moment for the occultism.
yeah, and I hear a lot of people in the occult that like respect the Kabbalah, and it's very huge. And when you said as above and so below, and there's connections to tarot cards with like the actual tree of life in Kabbalah that I won't get into necessarily, but maybe perhaps towards the end. Um, so you were talking about the macro and the micro, which I kind of agree with. It's supposed to connect the unknowable God, like something transcendent, completely transcendent,
Yep.
and connect it to our material realm.
Yep.
So, like how you said inner, and they use a word Ian Soph, so
Ooh.
Einsof, which is, so there's two aspects of God, which the Ian Soph is the unknowable and the completely transcendent, and then the second, which is the complete materialish one that relates to humans, in which we can experience. And what I found neat about the Kabbalah is how popular it is in today's world and society, specifically with celebrities.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the occult world is widely exposed now because of the internet. We talked
Yeah,
about this in episode one, where, man, if you wanted to find out any of this stuff, think about how hard it would be without the internet. You and I would
yeah,
literally have to just be like, we're gonna go to Boston and look at their occult shops and buy the books and then go home by candlelight and read them because that's what you did back then.
yeah.
So it's a rough one to be an occultist when there's no internet. Now, hell, everybody's an occultist because you can get it, you can find it, it's there. You don't have to buy the book. How many PDFs did I print out and keep? I should have never ever done that because it doesn't give the author any more money. It really doesn't. But
That's true, but
I,
yeah,
I
I
want
mean,
I wanted the wisdom. How many people are downloading Libernal at this point? You know, be nice to have the
yeah.
hardback, whatever, but
The
beggars.
signed copy. I got the signed copy.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I'm sure Lieber signed it, and Null, and Peter, and Carol. I'm sure you have four signatures in there.
Yeah, yeah. So you talked about in your opening statement the Sephiroth.
Yes.
Is that what you called it? Yeah. So the Sephiroth
So I
are
I butchered that, by the way, and I apologize.
no, you're fine. So the Sephiroth are the circles in the tree of life,
Right.
and you were talking about all the circles. There's 10 circles, but there's like an 11 circle that's I shouldn't say optional, but I'm going to say optional because I like to be a trendsetter.
They
So
There you go. Seth, yeah, I'd love that. Good.
so it so I'll go into each separate in just very like micro detail because it could take like a whole episode. And it's crazy how all the paths kind of lead to each other. Um, so the number one, the first one is Kether. Okay. So it's the crown. It's the first one at the top, which is like, I mean, you have to keep in mind there's many different variations of the tree of life.
Yep.
Um, people work with the quote unquote tree of death, the klapoth, and even in Kabbalah itself, there's different variations of it. But this is the most popular one. I don't even know if it has a name in particular. But Kether's at the top, the crown, and it's linked to like the unknowable God, basically. The second is Bina, and each sphere or Sephiroth is correlated with a planet, usually correlated with a color, and sometimes correlated with deities. So if you work the Klapoth, which is a left-hand path, which is like the tree of death, each quote unquote Sephiroth has a deity with each one that you work with. So Bina, uh, the planet associated with it is Saturn.
Okay. Yeah.
And in Hellenistic lore and mythology, in general means limitation. I'm not going to say bind, but limitation, death. The third one, so you have the crown, you have Bina. I should have printed a visualization. I'm sorry. You should have printed a visualization since you had
Yeah.
Peter Carroll's thingy-majig. Should have printed the Tree of Life. I would have had a better reference.
Liebernal ain't some singamajig, thingamadude, thingama. I mean, okay, continue on.
Number three is I'm going to butcher these names, by the way.
Yeah.
Chokma, Chokma,
Oh,
which
wow.
is like potential, spark of life. Number four is Chesed. That's not the optional one is like Dath or something like that. It's like in the middle there, and I'm not
Is
going to get
four is
into that.
four in
That's a whole
this
long story.
is not four in the center, is on the outside? One, two, three, four, or does it continue down the side? Do you remember? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can look it up.
can look it up. No, I just don't want to say anything wrong, but I think it's on the side.
Right. Okay.
Chesed, which is relates to kind. No, 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 no. It's on the right side. It's on the right side. It relates to kindness. Number 5, which is Gabora.
Be a great name for a
Um,
band, wouldn't
yeah, yeah. It's on the left side, and it's very extremes like passion and anger.
it?
Number 6, which is in the middle. It's in the very middle, I think. Not the very middle, lower very middle
Yeah.
is the
Like stomach, right?
yeah, Tefereth, Tef, Tef, Tifereth, Tifereth. I think it's
Tif-
Tifereth, which
Tiferet.
is basically uh, it's associated with the sun and it's associated with life. And the Tifereth is connected to basically every other Sephiroth. It's the connection holder there. And to speed through these, I only got like 3 more. Nazak is about feelings and desires. Hode, which is number 8 on the list, is almost academic, intellectual, knowledge. And 9, Yasad, is at not the very bottom, but the connection piece. Yasad is the subconscious. It's the dream. It's the magical state. It's the imagination. And then Malkuth is the bottom, and that's like uh, it's represented with the earth, and it's very material. It's kind of like us right now.
Right.
And in order to connect to this tree, you got to have the imagination, the Yasad, the connection to the subconscious to reach all the other things and know the divine as a whole. Quick note: the High Priestess card on the very generic tarot deck has 2 pillars of opposites, and they supposedly represent the Kabbalah, the 2 pillars in the Kabbalah on each side. There's a lot of correlations to the tarot. So,
In Freemasonry, there's 2 pillars as well.
oh, oh,
I'm telling you, it's all connected in an odd way. Let me ask you this about the tree. So I don't know anything. I don't know anything about the tree, right? So here's all this information about a tree, right? There's all this cool stuff, kindness and whatever. So then, what does that do?
all this cool stuff,
Yeah,
kindness, whatever.
yeah, and like the unconscious and conscious state and this and that, and I get it. It's cool, but like, what does an occultist like? If I said to you, I am an aspiring occultist, and I see this tree all the time, Milo. What does that do for me? Like, what am I supposed to do with this tree? Do I work up the branches, or do I? Is it just a mental thing to understand all of that at one time? Is it something that I should study one by another? Is it something that I should be able to? Because I don't. I mean, I wouldn't know how to explain that if someone asked me that. Is that life ritual, like real life events? You have to work through these things physically, or is it just a mental process to understand how they all work together? Do you know that?
I'm assuming it's similar to the Klapoth, in which you're initiated onto each. No, never mind, never mind. I won't say it like that. So with the Klapoth, or the Tree of Death, um, you're kind of initiated onto the path, and you have to go through each Sephiroth, which is guarded by a quote unquote demon, and they kind of initiate you onto that Sephiroth, and it teaches you many different things on each one as you progress through the tree. And it's all very mental, I would say. So I'm assuming the Tree of Life is similar, not in that you invoke an entity, but that it's it's a closer way to get to the divine, right? Their ultimate goal is to connect the unknowable God to our material world and kind of connect the bridge. And through the tree of life, you can quote unquote do that. I'm sure there's magic there, obviously, and I'm sure there's ways of working it, obviously, but I haven't read that far into it.
I got you. That makes a lot of sense. It'd be cool to have like a poster of it that you could hang up and you could say, okay. So do you know if you work bottom up or top down?
You bottom up because you're the material and you're trying to get to the
Why
crown.
why is it that every time someone explains it or you read about it, it's always top down, but then you're supposed to work it bottom up? Oddly enough, I'm not. We don't have to open that up, but just it's odd,
Well, it's the number one is the crown, right? It's
right?
if you're numbering it, everybody who numbers it starts at the top,
Right.
but you are the bottom and you're trying to work your way up,
You're
right?
learning.
In
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
theory.
yeah, yeah. In theory, you're working your way through it. Yeah. Uh, it's a big deal. The Torah, the Zohar, right into the Kabbalah, into the Tree of Life. Like it's a big part of the occult, if not one of the biggest. Like that and the Goetia, really, like man, that is some heavy duty. That they sorry, they have put they've put that into the same realm as Hermeticism and Gnosticism in Kabbalah. That's a crazy, if you look at Peter Carroll's thing, that's a big block of occultism that came out of that kind of that mess right there. That
Yeah, Jewish mysticism. And
it's
for
out of this world, is it not? Like it's so cool.
it's it's huge, and I would implore the audience to, I don't even know if implore is the right word, but I would encourage the audience if they're interested in it to pick up the Zohar because it's a very, I shouldn't say basic, but a introduction to
Yeah,
Kabbalistic teachings and writings. So,
yeah, very cool. Um, is there is there anything else at this point to touch on? Because we're gonna start running out of time. So if there's more stuff to touch on, we should probably um make another video of that. If not, what do you think?
yeah,
Is
so there's a couple things that we could do. Obviously, we could get more into the Tree of Life, and if we were to do that, I would like to also get into maybe do a duel with the Klapoth and the Tree of Death
the
and
true
kind of
death?
explain. And I think it would be important to kind of explain how you would work that magically because we didn't really touch on that. We don't really necessarily know
Right.
either. So we want to do more research on that and we could potentially do another video on that. Yeah. And there's much more to the Kabbalah than just the Tree of Life that we could also touch
Right.
on. It's a
No,
very
yeah.
brief introduction.
Yeah. This is a quick introduction, but it's pretty vast. The Kabbalah. On an off note, because our time just went and it's ticking. As you know, I'm in the Sumerian tablets. I'm into the Anunnaki, and another cultist named Joshua Free. He also has connected the two and went way beyond. Like this guy knows his stuff when it comes to the Necronomicon, when it comes to Anunnaki. He really does. And I bought one of his books, and it's absolutely loaded with info. And I was trying to get him as a guest, and he wants to be underground, so he doesn't really want to be on the show. And I told him, hey, man, you can just call in, and he didn't really respond to that, so he's not into it. But I asked him, hey, what if I just emailed you some questions and you would answer them for me? And he said, how about this? And he sent me like 5 or 6 links of Q&A stuff that he did. And he's like, this should get you guys kind of rolling if you want to use it. And he was just like, I'm extremely busy. I'm doing my thing. I don't really want to be part of it, but you can use this for your show, like, which is super, super cool that he would at least do that for us. So props out to Joshua Free. And I'll tell you, I'll print that. he sent it to me in a text. We've been talking text on the phone for quite a while now. And I sent all those to my email. I'll open them up, I'll print them, and then we'll use an episode of a bunch of questions asked to him and his answers. And I think that's going to be a cool episode. I'm stoked that, we have people supporting, and Josh Free's a big one to support us the best he can. What do you think of that,
Hmm.
buddy? That's pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah.
for sure.
So we'll have to look out. Do you want me to send them to you as well? I'm pretty sure you do. I haven't yet, but I will. So basically, if
So
you
they're
no,
so
sorry,
they're
go.
just so they're Q&A questions that he answered.
Yeah, he thought that anything we wanted to know, he already kind of answered, and
So you should go through those and then pick the ones that would be relevant or most
right,
kind of quote unquote groundbreaking, and then we can kind of discuss them on an episode on its own.
right. That's
So
that's what I was saying. I was saying I can't get him on, but at least we can talk about him and his answers, and
yeah.
he's probably gone through this a million times and is like, look, I don't have time for y'all. I like y'all. I don't have time for y'all. And you know what? Anything you're going to ask has already been asked, and here it is,
Yeah.
which is super cool. He didn't have to do that. That's what I'm saying. He didn't have to do that for us, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about. That is the whole reason we got together to do this, is for all of us occultists to get in line together and learn from each
Mm-hmm.
other.
But you wanna gatekeep people by 30 years before they read your journal.
I don't want to. I didn't. I didn't. I said what I'd read. Other
Yeah, but
other
you
Jewish
said
mysticism.
that you agree to an extent with that.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
You think people should wait
I
until they're practically they could live to 25 and you want them to wait until 40 to review the tree of
there.
life?
Listen, in my neighborhood, and this is a true story. In my neighborhood, when I grew up, I was about 16 years old, and I had cousins that were a little, I know, younger than me, and they were like, 14, 13, 14, and they would go up to a 6-year-old and tell the 6-year-old, they'd say, hey, and this is a neighborhood get together. We all live under different roofs. And they would say to the
Mhm.
kid, you need to go in that house and look at your mom, point at her and say, you need to get in the kitchen, make me some sandwiches. And the kid's like, sandwiches? And they're like, yeah, you need to get in that house and say, hey, man, tell your mom, hey, you better get in there and make me some sandwiches. They're
What
trying,
does this have to do with anything?
yep. So they're trying to corrupt the kid. So that poor kid, right? And so it has to do with the age of how we act to people. Now, am I going to give some magical practice power to kids that act like that? No, because they're going to tell the boy, "Hey, little boy, go to your mom and say abracadabra, and boom, you have a cat." Yeah, your mom's come on, dog, but you have a cat, dog. Doesn't work. You have to be educated enough. That's why they don't let people drive. They don't let people vote. Your voting is going to be silly. You're not old enough yet. You can't give these idiots you can't you have to be a certain age before you give your opinion. I totally believe that. Otherwise, the places are everything's already gone to hell. So whatever. Who cares
Right.
now? But when we had standards, there's a certain place for people.
Good topic. You
Take
went off the rails there for about 40 minutes, but good good topic. It was 40 minutes. I'm not sure why you're laughing. Good topic. Good drink selection on my part.
yeah, good for you.
Would love to get into a part 2 or part 3. Thanks to all the supporters. Josh Free for sending us the
Yep, Josh Shing's
Q&A
great.
questions that we'll delve into on a future episode.
Yep,
So, yeah.
yep. Hit us up in the email. Gnashing of Teeth Podcast Gmail. Hit us up. And like Milo said, hit us in the comments. We want to hear it. Let's make this community happen. It's all about occult wisdom for us all. All right. Hey, great episode, G. I hope you have a good night.
You too.